What is going on, everybody? Welcome into the stream, Wednesday night live stream. Back at it on a Wednesday. Last week it was Friday, missed Wednesday, but we're back with the proper schedule. So appreciate all you guys being in here. We got 33 people in the live right now. Just appreciate you guys coming through and hanging out with me. We got some stuff to talk about. Not gonna lie, trying to create the schedule for this stream was a little. I didn't feel great about it just because I feel like there's nothing crazy to really talk about. Um, but there is some interesting stuff from these past couple days of the combine, so we're gonna get into it. And I literally was going to make this comment. I was downstairs, like filling up my water bottle, getting ready for this stream, and I was like, I shaved since the last stream. Which last stream, if you guys weren't here, there was someone who donated me $20 and said, "Buy yourself some new razor blades." We have Flatline here saying, "Hi, Evan. Glad to see you tonight. I see you bought some razor blades." See, I had a razor blade. It was a good razor. It's actually Dollar Shave Club. They sponsored me a couple months back and did a whole ad for them. I don't remember the exact discount code or the deal, but you can go find that if you want to, get yourself some Dollar Shave Club razors. It was nice, but yeah, I don't know why I'm talking about me shaving. I just thought that was funny. Anyways, we got some stuff to talk about. So, the story of the week, obviously the NFL Combine has started up. So let me see if I can pull this up on my screen here. I wanted to try and do some little B-roll while I'm talking. Let's see if I can actually get that to work correctly. I don't know if I'm going to be able to, but we're going to try. And I can full screen. Hopefully this is muted. It's muted. It is. Okay, this is kind of working. So yeah, basically the NFL Combine has started up the past couple days. I believe the drills start tomorrow, just Thursday. Obviously the big story of the week so far has been Nick Sirianni and Howie Roseman talking to the media for the first time since the season ended, or since their exit press conference, I should say. And they talked to the media yesterday, and I did a whole video that I put out earlier this morning, actually talking about, everything, like the main takeaways from those press conferences and everything that they said. A lot of the storylines were about free agency, and how things could look, when that gets started up in a couple weeks here. I talked about this again in my video, and you guys, I'm sure if you're in the live stream, you've probably seen the video, but if you didn't see it, basically I just said how, based on what Howie was saying, based on what Nick was saying, it really does seem like free agency this year is going to look very, very similar to last year. In the sense that, well, that's an ad right there, but this isn't St. Jude. In the sense that, let me skip that. This is a little scuffed, guys. I apologize for that. But in the sense that it's not really going to be an offseason where you go out and make all these big time moves to, sign one of the top free agents on the market, unless it's your own guy, that being Jaelan Phillips. And if the Eagles do make a big move, it's probably going to be that. It's probably going to be retaining their own guy. Pretty much, again, like last year with Zach Bond, that was their big move of free agency. That was their big move of the offseason. Extended Zach Bond. This year it could be with Jaelan Phillips. And then as far as the rest of the moves go, they're going to try and prioritize bringing back their own guys, but they also understand the reality is you can't pay everybody. The reality is you can't bring everybody back. So, you look at the top four free agents we got, again, Jaelan Phillips, who I think right now is probably the number one priority. You got Dallas Goedert, you got Reed Blankenship, and you got Nakobe Dean, and you got a bunch of other guys that are a little lower level, but still important players from last year. You're going to see some guys go. A lot of players are going to leave this offseason. So again, it's going to look pretty similar to last year, and the Birds are going to have to make some tough decisions. And then as far as external signings go, it's going to be all probably small moves like we saw last year with a guy like Adoree Jackson, or there was the Kenyon Green trade with CJ Gardner-Johnson. There was the signing of Azeez Ojulari and Josh Uche. So some of those moves worked out, some didn't. But yeah, that's pretty much what we got out of the Nick Sirianni and Howie Roseman press conferences. But there was still a lot more, some of which I'm going to touch on in this stream. And I do have an order that I want to go in here. So first off, when it comes to the combine, again, like I said, the main storyline was Howie and Nick talking, but the Birds have met with some guys already this week. So we can go through those briefly here. I believe the first guy I saw was linebacker from LSU, Harold Perkins, who, let me see if I can bring something up on him. I want to go quick with these because a lot of these, combine meetings, like, it's noteworthy because, the Eagles are obviously showing interest in these guys, but just because you meet with someone at the combine doesn't mean that they're going to end up drafting them. And also, a lot of the guys that they've met with have been late round picks. But let's just go through some of these guys real quick. Let's see if I can just get like a photo because, better yet, we can bring up the draft profile because, for me, like I don't really watch college football, and my knowledge of the draft comes in the months leading up to it. I do research, and that's how I form my opinions on that. So, here's Harold Perkins, one of the guys that we met with at the combine. Obviously linebacker from LSU. He is on this website, which is NFL Draft Buzz. Let's see. Hold on, I haven't been on this website in a minute. Yeah, overall rank 97, position rank 12, projected to go in around the third round. So noteworthy. It is interesting that the Eagles are meeting with linebackers because the second guy that they met with was also a linebacker from Oregon, I believe. But it's interesting that they're meeting with linebackers because I feel like that's one of the positions where you're kind of stacked almost, but at the same time, I guess it does make sense because you have Nakobe Dean going into free agency. Pretty good chance you lose him. Zach Bond after this season, I think his status is probably up in the air. Just because he's on this extension, right? It's a 3-year extension, so he technically does have 1 year after this next season. But it's if I remember correctly, I think it's kind of like the Darius Slay thing, where the last year is really expensive, and more than likely the Eagles are going to have to restructure or they'll have to move on. Again, not sure if that's true, but if I remember correctly, I think it's kind of structured in that way. But we'll see what happens. But again, they're meeting with linebackers. It's interesting. The other guy that they met with, I'll get to some of these comments in a minute, guys, by the way, because I know I'm behind on that, but I just wanted to rattle these off real quick, and I'm spending more time on this than I wanted to. But yeah, let's see if I can. What is this guy? Bryce? No, that's not how you spell his name. Nope. Yeah. All right. So this is the other guy they met with, Bryce Botcher from Oregon. Get another linebacker. Overall rank 168. This is like a day 3 pick, 5th round projection, maybe lower than that. These projections are only so consistent. And then who else? There was Penn State defensive tackle Zane Durant, who I saw someone say he could be a late round steal for the Birds at defensive tackle. Although, again, like, I'm not going to pretend like I know much. If you guys are any of you Penn State fans in the chat, you can tell me what you think about this guy. But he's projected to go 6th round, 175th overall rank. And then the one, I guess the biggest name that they met with at the combine, which I do want to actually talk about for a little bit, was Derrick Moore, edge rusher from Michigan. And I say that's the biggest name because I saw an article actually before I saw the report that they had met with him that was naming Derrick Moore as like the dream draft target for the Birds. And I'm going to bring that article up right now. So hold up. No, we'll start with no, we'll go to that one. This is the article I saw before he even met with the Eagles. But yeah, so the Eagles met with Derrick Moore at the NFL Combine. This is from Bleacher Report. Gary Davenport wrote this article saying that Michigan defensive end Derrick Moore is a dream draft target for the Eagles. So he said, if you followed the Philadelphia Eagles at all in recent years, then you know that general manager Howie Roseman hoards defensive linemen like a squirrel filling a tree with nuts ahead of winter. He got really creative with the way he said that. Stockpiling talent on the defensive line has served the Eagles well in the past. If it's not broke, don't fix it. And I definitely agree with that. And as you can see here, Derrick Moore played 4 seasons at Michigan, helped the Wolverines win the national championship in 2023, was named first team All Big Ten in 2025 after recording 30 total tackles, 10.5 TFLs, 10 sacks, and 2 forced fumbles. So, obviously really productive last season. He's been a good player at Michigan. Definitely an interesting target for the Birds. The thing is, so doing a little bit of research in preparation to do this stream, I feel like what I've seen on Derrick Moore has been pretty inconsistent. And again, I got to do my draft research. That's really going to pick up here after free agency. So I'll have more of a, more well-refined opinion then. So this is kind of just like initial reactions. But what I've seen about Derrick Moore has been pretty inconsistent. You got some people, and I'll bring up this article here. You got some people saying that he could potentially be like a day 2 pick, maybe even as high as round 2, which, who knows if that's true or not, because again, it's been pretty inconsistent. But I've seen him be compared to Jared Verse, since he modeled his game after Jared Verse, which obviously, Jared Verse is a phenomenal player. So high comparison there. Yeah, here's the report from Devin Jackson. The Eagles had a formal interview with Michigan edge Derrick Moore, and he said heading into last season, he found himself modeling his game after Jared Verse. I started to just watch what he does and just do the same thing. Everything in my toolbox is what he has. So, if the Eagles get a mini Jared Verse, I would be pretty happy about that. It says here, Moore played 4 seasons at Michigan and racked up 21 sacks in 53 games played. Again, it said last season he had 10 sacks in 12 games. So obviously got better as time went on. Excuse me. NFL.com compared Moore to Tampa Bay Buccaneers edge Yaya Diaby and projected him to be eventually a starter in the NFL. Lance Zierlein wrote, will eventually be an average starter. NFL comparison, Yaya Diaby, edge prospect with good size and length. Moore is far more active and engaged as a rusher than he is as a run defender. He has the ability to set firm edges, but his approach against the run can lack urgency. So as far as I understand, the article saying he's a dream draft target, maybe that's a little bit of an exaggeration, but he could be a solid player. He could turn out to be a solid NFL edge rusher. So I'm curious to know what you guys think about him, if you really know anything about him, just because, again, I don't really keep up with college football during the season. My draft knowledge comes from doing research beforehand in the months leading up to the draft. So, curious if any of you guys know more about him, have watched him play consistently. Just if you think he'd be a good fit for the Eagles. Because, again, I think that edge rusher is definitely a position that the Eagles need to focus on addressing this offseason. You really only, I think they only have 2 guys that are still currently on the roster, those being Nolan Smith and Jalix Hunt. So definitely need to address that. Midas says, I definitely wouldn't turn down a mini Jared Verse. Yeah, I wouldn't either. If that's what they're saying, if that's what he turned out to be, I'd be pretty excited about that. I've missed a lot of comments, guys. I've just been yapping this whole time. That's my fault. Let's say what's up to some people in the chat while you guys, give me opinions on Derrick Moore. Renee, what's going on? I really appreciate you being in here. Alfredo, was his comment? Cilio showed us on his show today. He was texting director of personnel for the Patriots. He asked him if AJ Brown is going on the Patriots next season, and he said it's a possibility for sure. Yeah, you're saying it's from Dan Cilio, though. I don't know. I didn't see that. I don't really want to comment on that because I don't know anything about it. And I didn't see the report. I don't know. Everything is a possibility. Take that with a grain of salt. Cilio is all about the hot take. This is true. I don't trust anything these fools say, Renee says. Renee says, I would not be mad at getting more. Anyone from Georgia would be a good fit for the Birds, says Flatline. Yeah, obviously that's true. But no, Derrick Moore, interesting prospect, I guess, to keep your eye on. as we get closer and closer to the draft. Like I said, it's been pretty inconsistent as far as what I've seen, where he might end up going. I've seen things say he might go in the second round. I've seen things say he could fall to day 3, go in the 4th round. Who knows? A lot of these projections don't end up getting it right anyway. So we'll see. He could be an interesting depth piece at edge rusher. And like I said, the Eagles definitely need to address that position this offseason. And I have a piece of an article that I want to go over talking about edge rusher specifically because Howie commented on it yesterday. So I want to pull that up as well. But yeah, like I said, I think Nolan Smith and Jaelan Hunt are the only 2 edge rushers that are currently on the roster. Now I think, and you'll see here in this article, I'll just read this. So on the edge defender, this is an article from Jimmy Kempski, Philly Voice. These are takeaways from what Howie and Nick said at the NFL Combine. So in regards to the edge rusher position as a whole, quote, we usually take 7 or 8 guys to camp. This is Howie talking, by the way. He says, we usually take 7 or 8 guys to camp. We only have 3 on the roster right now. Okay, so it's 3. Who's the third? I can't remember who the third is. 2 of them are Nolan Smith and Jaelan Hunt. We only have 3 on the roster right now. Definitely think we'll have to address it. It's a priority position for us. And, we'll just try to manage our own guys for agency in the draft to bring the best outcome possible that we can. It always starts up front for us in Philadelphia. So, yeah, obviously, again, edge rusher is a premier position for the Birds. Jimmy here says if the Eagles are able to retain Jaelan Phillips and bring Brandon Graham back, then they're basically set on the edge of the top 4 spots, which is true. And I think after yesterday, it's pretty much a foregone conclusion in my mind that BG's going to be back because Howie, I mean, you can see it right here. He literally said Brandon Graham is always welcome in Philadelphia. And if you remember earlier this offseason, BG literally said that he wants to come back if they'll have him. So I don't see why that wouldn't get done. It's going to be cheap. It's not like he's going to go anywhere else. So I think that happens. And then it's just, Jaelan Phillips is the big question mark again. Like if the Eagles do make a big move this free agency, it's going to be bringing him back. And I really do think based on how Howie Roseman was talking about him, and just based on what we heard at the Combine, that Jaelan Phillips is likely their number 1 priority going into free agency. So we'll see. I mean, I like Jaelan Phillips. I think he's a fantastic fit in this defense. If you can get him for the right price, I would really love to have him back in Philadelphia. I mean, last year when they traded for him, he really helped to fully unlock that pass rush. Guys like, Jaelan Hunt, Jordan Davis benefited. Moro Jomo, they benefited from playing alongside Phillips. So I would really love to have him back. It's just, again, it's going to come down to the price. But I do want to play this clip of Howie Roseman talking about Jaelan Phillips because, he talked about all the top 4 big free agents yesterday, right? Like he talked about Phillips, he talked about Goddard, he talked about Reed Blankenship, and he talked about Nakobe Dean. But it really does seem like the way he was talking about Phillips had a little bit of a different vibe to it than the rest of the guys in a sense. Like I guess with Goddard, he was very very positive, grateful for everything that Goddard's done here since he's been in Philly. Like he expressed that as well. But I want to play this clip for you guys because I think again it's pretty clear that Phillips is a top priority for the Eagles going into free agency. So let's pull this up. Hopefully it's not that one. All right, we're through this. We're through this. We're through this. We're through this. Guys, I got a bunch of tabs open, like ready to go through them all. Let's see here. Pull this up. Should I read some chat before I get into this? Renee says, yes, Phillips need to stay. Midas says Howie also talked about how it's a plus that Phillips is familiar with the Vic scheme. So yeah, that's what I'm about to play right now. So let me just put that up on the screen. All right, I have 2 of these. Hopefully I picked the right one. Is it this one? I hope it's this one. It is this one. I was right. Yes. All right, ready?
Well, you certainly see his fit with Coach Fangio and our defense, which a lot of times when you're talking about free agency is a big part of free agency. How's this guy going to fit into our defense? So you see that there. You know, you've been with the guy; he's got tremendous character, tremendous work ethic, and then all the things that you're doing, you're trying to balance the other factors that go along with that to try to come down with the value. And you work with everything just like we're here. We're part of being here. Part of the benefit of being here is the medical information. We get in situations where we get really excited, and then a week from now, we'll have some medical information that will change some of the evaluation. So that's always part of the decision making.
Yeah, so he said there at the end, they could get some medical information that affects their opinion on what to do or affects their actions. With Phillips, like I guess one of the risks is that he has had two very serious injuries in back-to-back years before, but last year he was able to stay healthy, played well with both the Dolphins and with the Eagles. Maybe the sack numbers weren't quite there the way you would want them to be, but he consistently was around the quarterback, consistently got pressure. Again, clearly he's a great fit in Vic Fangio's defense, and he loved being in Philadelphia. I mean, you guys are talking about it here in the chat. Midas says, right, Renee said it was the best day of his life. So yeah, Phillips, literally when he got traded to the Eagles, I think he said that was the best day of his life. So clearly he loved his time in Philadelphia. I think all sides would love a reunion. It's just about the number. It's can the Eagles pay him what he deserves or what he's expected to get or what other teams are going to be able to pay him. So we'll see. I mean, I've seen projections up around $27 million a year. I've seen projections as low as $17 million per year. I don't have inside information. I don't know what the exact number is going to be. But if you can get Jaelan Phillips back for a good price, and you can do that while being able to sign your other guys to extensions, I'm all for bringing Jaelan Phillips back. Midas says, to be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if he'd take a friendly deal to stay. I mean, we'll see. He was only here for half a season, and this is like, he's had a couple big injuries in the past, so this is his chance to get paid. I don't necessarily expect him to do that, but we'll see. I really would love to have Jaelan Phillips back. What do I got next on the agenda here? Wow, I still got plenty of stuff to talk about. Well, I'm curious to hear your guys' priorities going into the draft. Just real quick here. I've already talked about edge rusher a ton. That's one of my top three positions. I think, number one, you got to try and find a future right tackle, a replacement for Lane Johnson. And then also tight end is a big one as well, because you don't know what's going to happen with Goddard. Really, it depends on what happens in free agency, but also in a way it doesn't, because either way, even if Goddard does come back, it's like you have to plan for the future at that position now. You have to get someone in here at this point. So yeah, Renee kind of agrees with me. She says Lane's replacement, which is my number one target, offensive line, edge rusher. Yeah, pretty much right there with you. Fredo says I'll take losing Phillips if it means we keep Dean, Goddard, and Reed. That's fair as well. I would do that. I just don't think that you can afford all three of those guys anyway, even if Phillips doesn't come back. Renee says, oh, yes, tight end as well. So I'm curious. I mean, if you guys have thoughts, you can put it in the chat. If not, that's fine. We'll just move on. But yeah, those are my top three right now. Offensive lineman, specifically a replacement for Lane Johnson, edge rusher, and tight end. Those are the positions I think the Eagles absolutely do need to address in the draft. And then Flatliner's asking, Evan, who would you go after as the Eagles' number one pick? That I'd still have to do more research to see, who all is out there. What the potential prospects are looking like. Again, I'll have more draft content coming within the next few months, because I start to get a lot of my information with a lot of these visits and the top 30 visits that the Eagles do, and start to research prospects that way. So we'll see. Renee says, come on, we have 65 people in here. Interact with us. I mean, I get it. Some people just don't be typing. But if you do, I mean, if you're on your phone, you're on your computer, I mean, I'd love for you guys to be typing in the chat. But I appreciate all you guys who are in here. Make sure you at least like the stream. That'd be greatly appreciated. Mike Landis says, absolutely not. We have Dean's replacement on the team already. That's the tough thing with Nakobe Dean. It's like, I love Nakobe Dean. I think he's a fantastic player. Love the Georgia connection, just him with all those other guys. I love the way he plays. Like, he plays a violent brand of football, and it's really fun to watch. And he made a bunch of splash plays last year too. So it would really hurt to lose him, but at the same time, you have a guy who you drafted in the first round last year already on the roster. So it's like, it's a tough situation, man. It is. I'd love to have Nakobe Dean back, but does it make sense to pay him and then lose other guys at other positions that are maybe more of a position of need than linebacker? Probably not. I don't know. All right, we can move on to oh yeah. So I guess there's another position that I haven't talked about yet that the Eagles need to address this offseason. Yo, Renee, I really appreciate you with the $20 donation. We all appreciate the lives and info, Evan. I appreciate you guys for watching me yap for an hour once a week. Sometimes I don't understand why people care about what I have to say about this stuff, but I love hanging out with you guys. I love talking about the Eagles. It's always a fun time doing these live streams. I really appreciate you. Thank you so much for the $20. You guys do not have to do that. What was I talking about? Oh yeah, cornerback. That's a position that I think the Eagles definitely need to address this offseason, but I feel like it hasn't been talked about as much. I have seen people say that we should draft a corner in the first round. That I definitely don't agree with. I actually have an article that I want to reference when I talk about this. So hold on, let me pull that up as well. Because obviously we got Quinn Mitchell, obviously we got Cooper DeJean, and Howie said on Tuesday, he said yesterday that, oh my gosh, hold on a second. I see this other donation, but I'm trying to pull up this article. You guys are crazy. Flatline with the $25 donation. Wow. I really appreciate it. Says, I'm interacting. Really appreciate your analysis. Tip for the hairdresser. You know what, dude? I think I'm blessed with my hair. Like, it's going to sound really annoying. I just like, if I take a shower, wash my hair, just kind of fluff it. I don't even put anything in it. It just comes out looking like this. I got really thick hair. But I appreciate you, Flatliner, for the $25 and just for hanging out in the stream with me, talking to me. Always interacting. Yeah, really appreciate all you guys. Man. Okay. What was I talking about? Keith says, recently found your channel. Really like your content. Keep up the good work, brother. I really appreciate you. Thank you. You guys are the best. You guys are the best part of doing this. Okay, cornerback. Obviously, we got Quinton Mitchell. Obviously, we got Cooper DeJean. They're going to be here for the long haul. Howie Roseman literally said that. He wants to get those guys here for a long time. So next offseason, we're looking at extensions for probably both of them. But then you obviously have the question mark at outside cornerback number 2, right? And last season, I think that was an ongoing question for, I would say, all the way throughout the offseason, all the way throughout OTAs, training camp, and even that first half of the season, it was flip-flopping between, Adoree Jackson, Keely Ringo, Jacorian Bennett. The Eagles just didn't have a clear top guy at that position. That is until like halfway through the season when Adoree Jackson started to pull away and actually play well. I honestly thought Adoree Jackson was pretty good last year. That first game was terrible. The first game against Dallas was terrible. But aside from that, I think he actually was pretty decent all season. But that said, he's a free agent now, and you got to address this position again. So Howie kind of commented on it a little bit. Like I talked about earlier, I've seen people saying that the Eagles can maybe draft a corner in the first round. Here in this article by, I believe it's Patrick, or no, it's Ed Kratz. I don't know how you pronounce Cracks, whatever. I don't know. Ed Kratz. It's not how you spell my name, but whatever. But he writes here, it's a deep draft for cornerbacks, and perhaps it's a position that cannot be discounted in the first round with the 23rd overall pick, and why Clemson's Avion Terrell is their pick in many early mock drafts. I disagree with that. I definitely would not take a corner in the first round because, again, you're going to be paying Quinyon Mitchell and you're going to be paying Cooper DeJean next offseason. So committing another first-round pick to that position, like, it sounds great in theory. He'd be really good until eventually you have to pay that guy as well. And then it's like, okay. Plus, the Eagles have other positions in need that I think are more pressing than I need to get an ad blocker or something. I'm sorry, guys. But there's other positions in need that are more pressing, I think, than cornerback, to where you wouldn't want to spend another first round pick on that position. He says here, because it is so deep, maybe a second day corner seems more likely, which that I'd be fine with that if they took someone like round 2 or 3. And they have 3 second day picks. So perhaps a player such as Indiana's D'Angelo Pons, San Diego State's Chris Johnson, Miami's Keontae Scott, or Texas Malik Muhammad will be to their liking. So all those guys, I'll be doing more research on them as we get closer to the draft, no doubt. So, obviously drafting a guy is one option. And I would not be upset with that at all. I think that'd be a smart decision. You get a guy in here on a rookie contract. Kind of be like a similar thing to Andrew Makuba last year, where, you had a big need at the safety position. You got a guy on day 2. He came in. He was a quality starter in his first season. Started a little slow, had some flashes, also had some not so great moments, but he's a rookie. It's going to take time for most rookies, and eventually he became pretty consistent, pretty solid starter. So I thought he was a good player last year for the Birds, and it could be a similar thing with cornerback this year if they do decide to take somebody. But I want to find, yeah. So my other question to you guys then is, would you rather the Eagles draft somebody, right? Do you think it's more likely the Eagles draft somebody, or could they just bring back Adoree Jackson, right? Because like I said, I think Adoree Jackson was pretty solid for them last season. After a certain point, again, that first game was bad, but once he started to, stay healthy, consistently be in there, starting at cornerback number 2, like I think from mid-season on, he was pretty good. So curious to know your guys' thoughts on that. And Howie Roseman actually talked about Adoree yesterday. He said, quote, Adoree did a really nice job for us last year and got better throughout the course of the year, like I just said. So just like any other position, he's a free agent, and we'll just kind of see how the offseason plays out. So yeah, I mean, I honestly would not be mad at all if the Eagles decided to bring back Adoree Jackson, which is crazy because after the first game, I was flaming that guy. Like I was roasting the crap out of him, but he definitely picked it up. So I would not mind bringing him back. Obviously, he's not a star. He's not a difference maker, but you're not always going to have a star at every position, and he would be cheap. He was here last year, obviously, so there's familiarity. He's going to be comfortable playing in Vic Fangio's defense. If you don't draft somebody that you really like, I think Adoree Jackson would be a really good option. And obviously, free agency is before the draft, so you got to make that decision beforehand. But I think it'd be good to have him back on the roster. Midas says, trust me, we were all frying Adoree. Yeah, dude. I mean, he was getting cooked in that Dallas game. Hold on. Let me send a text back. Hold on. This will take 2 seconds. This is unprofessional. Okay. Now we're all frying Keely, Midas says. Yeah, but Keely Ringo was terrible. Terrible when he was in there, especially late last year. Was it the game against Washington, like the season finale when none of the starters were playing? He was awful. It was, and it's funny because like going into the season, I was really high on Ringo. I was like, hey, in 2023 when he played late in the year, he was actually pretty good. And he's got all the athletic traits to be a really, really good player. It's just he for whatever reason he can't seem to put it together, whether it's just mental stuff, discipline. I like the Georgia connection, but he was really bad. I don't have much hope left for him, if I'm being honest with you guys. Might have said, sorry, Ringo. I know you're kid from morale, but you got to go. I mean, he can stay on the roster for another year, but he cannot be starting. Definitely cannot be starting. But I'm curious to know what you guys think the Eagles should do at corner. Let's do this. So between drafting someone day 2 or bringing back a Dory Jackson or signing another free agent, what would you most want the Eagles to do? And what do you think they most likely will do? Just give me your opinions in the chat here. And if not, we'll move on. But I'd appreciate you guys to jump in here. Might says same with Bennett. Couldn't do anything without a PI. It was so bad, dude. It was so bad. It was like they were just picking on both of them. Both of them were just grabbing and holding at everything. It was not a good game. Not a good performance from those two in that one. Mill says, with Sean Mannion coming over as OC, what's your honest opinion on the offense playing in a Shanahan-McVay style offense? Saquon said that he's confident in this unit having more success next year. I'm really excited about it. I'm very, very excited about it. And I don't know if you saw it last weekend, I put out this huge 28-minute long video talking about Mannion's offense and kind of looking at the Jason Kelce breakdown on it and diving into it a little bit. So if you want to check that out after this video, if you haven't already, you can. But I'm very excited about it. I think it's going to really unlock the pass game specifically. You know, the run game last year was bad, and I think that'll improve too, just with guys getting healthier and this new outside zone scheme that we're going to be running, and then how the play action works off of that. That I'm really excited for, because that was one of the few things about the offense last year that I did like when they did it was the run game and then the play action game working off of that. We're going to see a lot more of that this year. The two things are going to be much more closely aligned and just mirroring each other. It's going to be a good marriage between the two things. So I'm excited about all of it. Renee says, keep Adoree Jackson. No one else really seems to have an opinion on what we should do at corner. Flatliner says, would you give CJ a third chance? I really like CJ Gardner-Johnson. I would love to have him back. But I don't know what happened behind the scenes for the Birds to trade him in the first place. So from my perspective, not knowing if anything really happened, not knowing if there was really any behind the scenes drama, I would bring him back, especially if it's for cheap, 100%. But at the same time, you don't know why they traded him in the first place. So, it really depends on what they want to do. And if they feel like it'd be a good idea to bring him back, personally, I don't think it's super likely. But I love CJ, and I'd love to have him back, assuming he's not causing problems. What is this? Midas says, oh my gosh, Evan, did you see the Dolphins GM hype up KP's Zoom interview? No. Is that on Twitter? Should I try and find that? Samir says I saw that. It was hilarious. Should I try and find that real quick? Would that be fun? Hold on. I'm going to back away from the mic so you guys don't hear this. I was recording a video when I did that, and then I heard like the playback of that as I was editing, and it was nasty. Should I try and find the KP thing? Let me do that. If I can't find it, we'll move on, because I got other stuff I want to talk about as well. Of course, we got to get to the A.J. Brown, Mike Vrabel stuff, guys. What am I? That's not true, bro. You look okay. You guys can't see my screen. Good. I don't know what just came up. Kevin Patullo. Zoom. Kevin Patullo. We have Zach Berman here yesterday. Put this out. Dolphins coach Jeff Hafley on Kevin Patullo. When I interviewed him, I was blown away. The knowledge that he has, the football experience that he has, what he did for that entire organization. Don't forget, he won a Super Bowl. And behind the scenes, what he did with that offense and with that whole team, listen to him talking his football knowledge, not just about offense, but about game management, about situational football. He said he told Bobby Slowick they needed to hire him. He added Patullo had other opportunities too. Sure. Knock yourselves out, guys. Have fun in Miami. I mean, okay, is this is what we're talking about? Yeah, he was gassing up the Zoom interview. Is this what we're talking about? Yeah. Yep. Or no, you said the Dolphins GM, so is this the right thing? I don't know. Either way, this is funny though. This is it. Yeah. You were blown away by what? I mean, like, I guess we as fans don't know everything that happened behind the scenes or what KP did or didn't do in his entire time here, but it's just like he was a pass game coordinator. 4 out of the 5 years that he was here, the pass offense was not great. Whatever. I mean, I guess we're gonna find out if it really was KP or if it was Sirianni. We're gonna find out. That made the best OC. That may be the best OC I've ever seen response. Oh boy. I bet KP said the exact same thing to Howie to get the OC job. He got the OC job because we won the Super Bowl and because there were no candidates left when Kellen Moore decided to go to New Orleans, and we had to do something, and KP and Sirianni were friends, so they just promoted Kevin Patullo because it was the lazy, easy thing to do. That's why Kevin Patullo got the OC job. All right, let's move on to wide receiver. So, yeah, I talked about edge rusher, talked about other stuff, draft stuff, positions they could target in the draft. I talked about cornerback. Underrated position that we haven't really talked about much is wide receiver, specifically wide receiver 3, because, obviously a lot of the talk this offseason has been about A.J. Brown and trade rumors with him, and we're going to talk about that. But in all likelihood, I think he's going to be back. So then the focus is, okay, you have A.J. Brown, you got Devontae Smith, but wide receiver 3, once again, is going to be up in the air because Jahan Dotson is set to hit free agency. Unfortunately, I think Dotson's been very underutilized in his time in Philadelphia. I think he's a good player that just hasn't had many opportunities because of how stacked the Eagles offense is talent-wise. But, every time he got thrown the ball over these past couple seasons, he made the most of it. He's had a couple really impressive catches, contested catches over people for touchdowns. He showed up in the playoffs a couple years ago, showed up in the Super Bowl, set up the first touchdown in the Super Bowl. Like, in his time with Washington, he put up obviously bigger numbers and, flash there as well. So I think he's a really good player. I don't know how much he's going to get paid this offseason. If you could bring him back, I'd love to have Jahan Dotson back. But again, it's got to be just like with all these other guys. It's got to be for the right price, and you can't bring everyone back. So we're going to see, I guess, what happens there or how much he might get paid if he stays in the Eagles' price range. Or maybe another interesting aspect to the whole thing is the new offense, because I mentioned this, I think, was it on that video I did over the weekend? I think I mentioned this in that 28-minute video that I did, that maybe Jahan Dotson isn't the best fit in this Eagles offense anymore, because typically this McVay Shanahan type of system has a field stretching vertical deep threat wide receiver, right? And Jahan Dotson isn't exactly that. He's more of an all-around kind of guy that can do everything. He can be a deep threat, but he's not like a Quez Watkins. He's not like a Tutu Atwell, is someone who was mentioned in the article in the video that I showed talking about that. So he's not that typical prototype. So do you just move on from Dotson and try and get a vertical threat, vertical deep threat at wide receiver to be wide receiver 3 and complement AJ and Devontae, that's something to consider as well. Yeah, so you could maybe draft somebody on like day 3, or you could rely more on some of the guys we have deeper on the roster, which again, like I said, with this offense, typically they have a vertical field stretching wide receiver. I don't think we really have that on the roster as is. But you do have some guys behind Jahan Dotson, like a Darius Cooper, like a Johnny Wilson, like even a Britton Covey that have shown, I think Covey's a free agent, but you guys get the point. But these guys have shown flashes in their own way. They have unique skill sets. And Howie Roseman actually talked about this at the combine, so I wanted to play that clip as well. What happened to Johnny Wilson? He had, I forget what the specific injury was, but he got a season-ending injury in training camp and missed the whole season. Now, here's the clip of Howie talking about what they might do at wide receiver.
Well, Jahan's a free agent. I think we have a couple young players behind him who have shown flashes of a skill set that we're looking for. And we got to continue to build that room. And so we'll have opportunities again in free agency and the draft to look at that position and continue to build on.
Yeah, okay. So not really much insight, but he did mention, they got guys in that room already that they like. Would you guys be comfortable with going into the season, say with like a Darius Cooper or Johnny Wilson or, maybe even Britton Covey as your wide receiver 3? Personally, I don't love that idea just because none of those 3 guys are really proven. I don't think that, I like Darius Cooper. I think he showed some flashes last year, especially in the preseason. But he doesn't really have the, again, like that vertical deep threat wide receiver is a prototype. Is a kind of player that I think fits well in this offense, just based on what I've heard. And it'd be nice to get somebody that has that skill set that can stretch the field a little bit more and just open things up more for guys like AJ Brown, Devontae Smith. And as much as I like Darius Cooper, Johnny Wilson, like those 2 guys don't exactly have that skill set. And they're also pretty unproven. So I don't think I'd feel super comfortable with that. I think either you try and bring back Jahan Dotson or you draft somebody that has that, speed threat prototype, like someone like that. Day 3, I would say. Or you also you could sign someone else in free agency, which I haven't really looked too much into what other wide receivers are out there. Because again, it's not really a position it's been on the forefront of my mind. But yeah, I mean, I'm curious to know what you guys think the Eagles should do at wide receiver. Mighty says Wilson was mossing people in those preseason games. He was. I forgot. Against the Bengals this year, he was like going up over the top of people and snagging passes from Tanner McKee. Flatline says, I think Johnny Wilson should get more reps. And I agree with this. Like, one underrated thing that wasn't really mentioned a lot last year is the impact of losing Johnny Wilson, because a lot of the times when the Eagles would run the ball in 2024, Johnny Wilson was on the field. He did a lot of that dirty work at the wide receiver position, just blocking, and he was really good in that role. So losing him, the Eagles didn't really have a guy that was as good there. Now, Darius Cooper did a lot of that, I think, this past season. But, Johnny Wilson's 6'6", like huge, just physical presence at wide receiver. Like, I think it'd be interesting to get him more reps, more opportunities. But again, I don't really feel comfortable with him at wide receiver 3, especially since I don't think he fits that well with AJ Brown and Devontae Smith. I would like to get a speed guy, or you bring back Dotson. I'm curious to see what we do there. I'll give you guys a few more seconds if you want to give thoughts on wide receiver, what the Eagles should do. If not, we'll move on to the AJ Brown, the latest AJ Brown noise. I'm sick of talking about AJ Brown, guys. I'm not gonna lie. Oh, Renee says I was at open practice in August when Wilson got injured. He looked great before he did. Wow. How do you even? Oh, did he get injured in the open practice? I forget. I forget when exactly he did get hurt. Was it? It was in that open practice. I didn't know that. Samir says they should draft me at wide receiver. What's your 40 time? If you can run a 4.4, you run a 4.3 or 4.4. That'd be great. That'd be exactly what I think the Eagles are looking for. Renee says, I think he'll be really good once he's healed. I like Johnny Wilson. I really do like Johnny Wilson. I just don't think his skill set fits that well being wide receiver 3. Everyone seems to like him, though. Flatline says, bring in Tyreek Hill. No thanks. No thank you. I don't think we need that headache in the locker room. I don't think the Eagles would even entertain that, considering Tyreek Hill's, we'll just say that the allegations that have come out with him in the past and what's happened. Like, I don't even know his whole situation, but I don't think the Eagles would entertain that. All right, we're gonna move on to the AJ Brown thing. I literally lose my voice doing these, and I'm talking for. It's not even been an hour. How do people stream for like 4 hours? Midas says, I agree, bro. I'm tired of this AJ drama. I need my Cowboys drama fixed. Dude, this is around the time when a Cowboys player usually gets arrested, so stay tuned for that. I'm sure it'll happen. But, dude, like, yeah. Renee says, I went with Lincoln Financial. I work in insurance, and I was a guest. That is awesome. Shout out to you, Renee. I mean, that's super cool. What was I talking about? Yeah, exactly. Cowboys player usually gets arrested. Oh yeah, AJ Brown stuff. Okay, we all know what's going on with AJ Brown. Trade rumors, blah 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 blah. Kayla, no, I don't think AJ Brown's getting traded. We're actually just starting to talk about this now. So basically, the new thing today was, obviously the combine's going on. All the different teams are talking to the media, and the main team that has come up in AJ Brown trade rumors is the Patriots, right? Because AJ Brown's a Patriots fan. He used to play for Mike Vrabel in Tennessee. He was just on this podcast with Julian Edelman and Rob Gronkowski. So there's just been a lot of noise around a potential AJ Brown to the Patriots move. When in reality, AJ a couple weeks ago was talking with Micah Parsons on a podcast, said Philadelphia's home. He loves Philly, excited about the new offensive changes. Basically talking like he was going to be here next year, made it seem like he was coming back. And then a few days after that, we got Derrick Gunn saying, yeah, the Eagles want to keep AJ Brown. Shocker, right? And also, it doesn't seem like AJ Brown ever really wanted to leave. So, those two things are out there, yet we continue to get the narrative push that AJ Brown's going to get traded despite those reports and despite the fact that if you trade AJ Brown pre-June 1st, you are eating $49 million in dead cap. And I don't think the Eagles are going to do that. The Eagles, they're not going to do that. So if a trade does happen, it's going to be post-June 1st, which means you can't get draft capital from 2026. So any trade you see that's like, oh, AJ Brown for a 2026 first-round pick, Patriots 31st overall pick for AJ Brown, that can't happen because they're not going to trade him pre-June 1st. And again, I don't think they're going to trade him at all because they want him here. I think he wants to be here. But then you get, stuff like what happened today with Mike Vrabel talking, and it stirs up a whole bunch of drama. So let's talk about it real quick. We have here we go. Pull it up. Come on. Nope. Not invite guest. Share screen. So this is what Vrabel said.
I think the relationship with players, and specifically you asked about AJ, has meant a lot. I've watched him grow. I've watched him mature. I'm proud of him. Proud of the father that he is. I'm proud of the husband, and that has nothing to do with where he plays and where he played. So those are the things that are important. We reach out and text each other during the things that happen good to each other, and sometimes things don't go so well for the people that you're close with, and you text those as well. So it's a two-way street of support and reminders of what got us to where we are here today.
I mean, I saw that, and honestly, like, I feel like I'm pretty chill, pretty collected, like non-reactionary when it comes to stuff like this. I didn't like, you can read into it and be like, oh, he said that they text each other, and they text each other when things are going well and when things aren't going well. And AJ, things weren't going well this past season, and AJ was saying bad stuff and texting Vrabel about it during the season. Like, you can play that game and read into it. At the end of the day, I'm just like, this doesn't seem like that much to me. It really doesn't. Like, Vrabel used to coach AJ. They have a relationship. They talk to each other. I don't understand, like, why something like this gets blown up into, oh my gosh, they're texting each other. That must mean that they're conspiring behind the scenes, and PHLY says here, tamper much. Like, I feel like this stuff gets blown out of proportion, Like, okay, if AJ and him were texting during the season, that doesn't mean that AJ's getting traded to the Patriots. I don't know. And then they ask him about if they could consider an AJ Brown trade. He says, quote, I think that we'll look at everything that we can possibly look at to add to our roster. And again, there's a lot of things that go into trades. There's a lot of back and forth and taking on compensation. So I'm sure there'll be a lot of opportunities for us to talk about trades, not only this week, but as we prepare and get closer to the draft. That's the most PR answer. That is the most media trained answer that you could possibly have gotten from Vrabel. Guys, I really don't think this is that big of a deal. I really don't think it's anything at all. I don't. And part of me is considering pulling up the Spike Eskin clip from WIP, because he saw this and he saw AJ talking about Vrabel on the podcast with two former New England Patriots that also, by the way, this podcast took place at the Super Bowl during Super Bowl week, hosted by two former Patriots players while the Patriots were in the Super Bowl. So, of course, I'm frozen. We're good. Of course, they are going to talk about Mike Vrabel and the Patriots on this podcast, especially when the player that you have on the podcast is a former Vrabel player, someone who used to play for Mike Vrabel. So, of course, they're going to talk about it. But these people, they see, oh my gosh, AJ was on this podcast and he was talking about Mike Vrabel, and now Mike Vrabel's talking about AJ Brown. And everyone freaks out and blows things out of proportion and acts like, this is disrespectful to the Eagles. This is ridiculous. Like, I can show you guys what I'm talking about. Basically, this dude Spike Eskin on WIP. Oh, wait, no, I had it up. Why did I take that off? I can show you real quick. This is what I saw, and I'm just like, yeah, of course. Shocker. People on WIP making a big deal.
Here already.
That was loud.
Can we just get AJ out of here already? Enough. This is embarrassing to the Eagles. So first, there was 5 minutes of AJ talking about how much he likes Mike Vrabel on the Gronk podcast, right? Mm-hmm. Then there's Mike Vrabel talking about texting him, and he didn't say during the season, but he almost started to say it. He said texting him. He said texting him during when things aren't going so well. Mm-hmm. Like, so now there's Mike Vrabel being disrespectful. This is disrespectful to Sirianni. It's just disrespectful to the Eagles organization, by both Vrabel and AJ. It's disrespectful to the fans. Just get him out of here, man. Just get him out of here. It's embarrassing for everyone. And if the
I don't understand that point of view. It just feels so like exaggerated and dramatic and oh my gosh, like everything's a big deal. Like this to me, when I see stuff like this, I'm like, okay, whatever. I don't think like, oh my gosh, this means AJ is getting traded to the Patriots. This is disrespectful to the Eagles. This is ridiculous. This is embarrassing. My brain doesn't work that way. Maybe it's because I'm not trying to incorrectly like blow things out of proportion to get clicks. Because trust me, guys, I do this. This is my job. I get paid to get clicks, but I also try and be honest, and I try not to lie. And this just feels like an attempt to blow things up to get engagement. And it's working because, look, they got 112 likes. They got 40,000 views. They got 153 comments. Ridiculous to me. Renee says, yes, it was a big nothing burger. He's an Eagle until he isn't, period. Exactly. If he gets traded, right? Okay, I could be wrong. I'm not gonna come on here and guarantee you anything. I'm not gonna come on here and say that I know what's going on. But just if you look at the evidence, to me, the evidence shows he's more likely to stay than he is to go. But this right here, any little thing to latch onto and then you blow it up just to try and drive this narrative that AJ is getting traded so you can get engagement. Like it's so frustrating. It's frustrating. Renee says, no rage bait, no speculation, no lying, just facts. That's why I come here. I appreciate you. Rodney says, AJ's not going nowhere unless it's a high first and second to get Howie's attention because of his salary. And you have to see what's going to happen within the new offensive scheme, new OC offensive scheme. Yeah, I mean, I completely agree with you. Like the only way the Eagles would trade AJ is if it was an offer that they couldn't pass up. And again, you can't get 2026 draft capital. Like, I think AJ's excited about this new offense. You listen to everything, like Howie said yesterday. You always listen to everything when it comes to trade offers. But ultimately, they're not going to trade him unless it's like an offer they absolutely can't pass up. Because, again, you're eating a bunch of dead money. In my mind, it is so much more likely. In reality, I think it's so much more likely that AJ stays than he goes. I'm pretty confident he's going to be back, guys. I'm pretty confident. Midas says, Philly media is insane. John Clark and Ashton Sullivan are like the only Philly media members I can tolerate because they actually enjoy reporting the positives. Yeah, I like those two as well. I like John Clark a lot. Oh, yeah, I know. Trust me, I'm not surprised by this. It's just funny because I see this stuff all the time and it's like, it's so ridiculous. They literally just do it for clicks. It's insane. What else do we got? Oh, yeah, we got a couple more random things that I saw on Twitter. We've been here for over an hour. I really appreciate you guys for hanging out with me and just talking Eagles, talking whatever's going on right now. Got a couple more things that we can rattle off here real quick. Let's start with this thing I saw on Nick Sirianni right before I jumped on here. Jake Rabati comments on it. He says, well, here's the report. The future of Eagles head coach Nick Sirianni hinges on the success of quarterback Jalen Hurts and new offensive coordinator Sean Mannion in 2026, basically saying Sirianni's coaching for his job next year. And not that surprising based on reports we've got earlier. Jake Rabati comments making fun of it, saying, thank you for this groundbreaking report that Nick Sirianni's job security is contingent upon the success of the team. Jason Lockhanfora. Yeah, pretty much a nothing report here. In my opinion, not really anything crazy. But, whatever. What's going on in the chat here? whatever. I don't know what I'm sorry guys. But yeah, this is nothing to me. Nick Sirianni's they gotta have some success this year. They gotta show that they can bounce back from last year. What else? We have this ridiculous thing about Jalen Hurts. Some dude said that the Eagles should trade Jalen Hurts before they trade A.J. Brown, and Cam Newton told him he's stupid. I don't think we even need to look at that. Like, that's just a waste of time. We have this. I mean, it's an interesting move that happened in the NFL. Ian Rappaport says the Titans are releasing starting center Lloyd Cushenberry, sources say, moving on from a former big-ticket free agent from 2024. He signed a 4-year, $50 million deal 2 years ago and was due $8 million this season. Now Cam Ward will have a new center, which is interesting because Cushenberry was one of the higher-paid centers in the game. So I guess it makes sense. The Titans, where they're at in their franchise, they don't really want to be allocating a ton of money to their center. But Anthony DeBona says here, assuming that Cam Jurgens will be back to 100% healthy, the Eagles should be fine at center. Yet, if they're worried about him, it's worth noting the Eagles offensive line coach Chris Cooper was the Broncos assistant offensive line coach for Cushenberry's first 2 seasons. So, yeah, I mean, that is, I guess, something worth noting. I think Cam Jurgens will probably, my hope is that Cam Jurgens is going to be back healthy next year. But even if he's not, like, I think they're banking on that. I don't think they would go sign him this offseason. So I don't think they would go sign Cushenberry this offseason. So, I don't really expect anything to happen here, but worth noting this move happened today, and we'll see where he ends up, or who knows, maybe DeBona has a point here, but we'll see. By the way, yeah, Midas, great point. Jaelan literally has a no trade clause because we actually appreciate our QB1. LOL. Exactly. I don't understand people that just make stuff up for whatever reason. Like, I could come on here and just be dishonest and be like, just make up trades, make up stuff that makes absolutely no sense. But I try not to do that. I mean, there's been times when I've probably, I want to say, messed up a little bit in the way that I've presented things, or maybe I presented something that wasn't as realistic as I thought in the moment. But I always try my best to not create narratives and make stuff up for clicks. Like, I try and even if I am speculating, I make it very clear that I'm speculating. I don't try and push like, oh, the Eagles could actually, like, I don't know. I just try and be honest. But what else do we got here? Oh yeah, I guess one other interesting point. And then we're gonna do my quick. I have a wrap up message planned. Hold on, is this on the screen? No. So the Eagles can maybe play in London this season is something else that I just wanted to touch on because, well, let me pull it up first before I start talking about it. Come on, buddy. Come on now. Yeah, Zach Berman puts out here, the Washington Commanders and Jacksonville Jaguars will both play games in London this season. The Eagles have road games against both teams, so would be in play. The Eagles didn't travel to Jacksonville when last scheduled, 2018, because the game was in London. Would it go to London again? Would the Commanders host a divisional rival there instead of in Landover? I don't know. Interesting. I don't want the Eagles to play in London. I just want to go on record and say that. I think it's having to travel international is just like in the middle of a season. I would prefer the Eagles to not have to do that. It's a tough thing for them to do, but they could handle it. It's just would not be something I prefer, but we'll see what happens there. Flatliner says, posts a Bible verse, Psalm 121, 1-2. I lift up my eyes to the mountains. Where does my help come from? My help comes from the Lord, the maker of heaven and earth. Amen, man. I appreciate the Bible verse because that's what we're going to get into here at the end. I think this is actually a good verse of that connects to what has been going on recently, because obviously there was the tragedy over the weekend with Rondale Moore, and I just think it really, I think it's becoming more and more clear how much of a problem mental health is. Not just in the NFL, because you've had multiple players that have taken their own lives, but I think just in this country, mental health has been a big issue recently, and I think a lot of people are struggling right now, and so I appreciate this verse. It says here, "My help comes from the Lord, the maker of heaven and earth." So I would encourage you guys, if you're struggling, obviously go talk to somebody, talk to friends, talk to a therapist, whatever. Um, do what you need to do. You need to connect with people, but also bring it to God as well. Personally, I can say this, like, I'm coming out of it now, for sure. I'm doing much better now. But during the season specifically, like October, November, December, hardest time of my life for sure. And leaning on God, and the people around me, really helped me to get through some of that. And it didn't feel like, at times, like it was going to get better, but it does. So I just wanted to touch on mental health briefly, and actually AJ Brown spoke about it. He had like this 9-minute message on social media that he posted, which I thought was awesome. So I wanted to play a little bit of that here for you guys, and then read a couple things, and we'll get out of here. But I just thought this was important to talk about because of what happened recently, and I just think it can really apply to a lot of people right now. So let me see if I can find this AJ Brown message, because AJ dealt with some mental health stuff himself, and he talks about it here. We'll play like the first couple minutes of this. Appreciate all you guys who are still in here and just hanging out with me. Is this the right thing? No, it's not. I have to switch it. Stop that. Yeah, all you guys I appreciate all you guys for hanging out, talking Eagles with me for over an hour on a random Wednesday night. We'll be back again, I think, next Wednesday. It could change. I'll let you guys know, but I'm gonna keep doing these. But let's listen to AJ Brown here. Let's talk about mental health for a little bit, because it's a great message. Somebody says AJ's video was awesome, but people claim him as toxic. Exactly. Flatline says he still shouldn't be reading books on the sidelines during games. That's yet another thing. Like, I never had a problem with that. Like, that seemed like actually a healthy thing to do. Like, that's like a self-improvement, like mindset type of book. If that helps him to stay grounded, like help him stay focused, I don't see a problem with that. I do not see a problem with that at all. Anyways, let's listen to this thing from AJ Brown, this message.
What's up, everybody? Hope y'all having a great Monday. I want to get on here and chat really quick. I won't take too much of your time, man. I just want to kind of spread some awareness around mental health. It's been a tough past year, tough week for the NFL community. We're a brotherhood, regardless of whatever team we play for. I just wanted to come shed some light on it really quickly. My love and my condolences goes out to Marshawn Nealon, Kyron Lacy, Rondale Moore family. Because it's a tough time. It's a tough time, and
people.
Obviously we care about them, we love them as a brotherhood. But I didn't get an opportunity to get to know those guys, but fan of those guys' performances from afar, especially Kyron Lacy and Rondale Moore. But I myself represent a mental health advocate. I take pride in my mental health, something that I practice each and every day. Guys, I want you all to understand in the NFL community, man, things aren't always going to go your way. You may not get everything that you desire. Sometimes this game is not friendly. People are going to say nasty things about you.
And they're people, man. We sometimes
call you this, call you that, but none of those things in that moment define you. You just have to understand that this is just a short period of time, short moment of life.
Mm-hmm.
In your life, I should say, in your life, short moment in your life that's just going to go just like that. We have the rest of our lives to live.
Mm-hmm.
We are incredible human beings who can accomplish the world. You already made it to the NFL. Don't be down on yourself. Don't get down on yourself. I understand how it feels. I understand what it feels like to try to take care of your family. I understand all those things when you're trying to achieve this, you're trying to achieve that. None of that stuff is fulfilling. None of it is. The only thing is fulfilling in this world is our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ.
Amen.
Our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, the love that he has for you. This is just a gift that he's giving you. He wants you to play ball, but he really wants you to spread his word, guys, to be a direct reflection of him. And we all fall short of the glory, including myself. We all sin. We all are sinners. We're going to be sinners until the day we die.
Mm-hmm.
But don't take the easy way out. I once thought that was the way. I don't even know how old I was. I was 23 years old, and I thought the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
I thought the same thing. Man, I have so much life ahead of me. I have so many family members who love me. I have accomplished so much. I have a beautiful family. I have a 2-year-old. I have 2 kids. I have a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old. Beautiful family, man. So much life that is ahead of you. God has so much in store for you guys, that so much more than just a game of football, guys. And I'm only talking like this because we're a community and we care about each other. We have to care about each other. But in this world, bro, nobody cares about you, bro. Especially as a man, nobody cares about you. You have to do what makes you happy. I don't care if somebody calls you garbage, somebody says you this, you that. Bro, you got to do what makes you happy.
Mm-hmm.
Because ultimately, the only people that's grieving right now for real is the people that know them and their family. Tomorrow, that sun is gonna go up and it's gonna go down. Everybody else is gonna go on with their life. Everybody's just gonna go on with their life, gonna pick up their lives and keep on going like nothing happened. Because nothing did happen. That's just how the world works. That's not a bad thing, but that's just how the world works. So you just have to understand that you have to do what makes you happy. I don't care what they call you. I don't care whatever failure, whatever you think you failed at, you have to keep going. There's no failure in this life, bro. There's no time. You're on your own timeline. God has everything working out according to his plan on his time. We got to get on his time.
Mm-hmm.
We can't move when we want to move, but we got to stay faithful. That's his love language. You got to seek God, bro. Go talk to somebody, bro.
Yeah.
Go talk to him first and foremost before you even go talk to a therapist. Go talk to a therapist. Reach out to your loved ones. Talk to somebody, bro. Get it off your chest, bro. You're not too tough to talk to someone, dog. You're not too tough, bro. It says you are fearfully and wonderfully made. God said that about you, bro. You are perfect, bro.
I love AJ Brown. That's essentially main point of the message. Like, again, guys, mental health is important. If you need to talk to somebody, you talk to somebody. Talk to God first and foremost. He's always there. He's always listening. You can always talk to him. It doesn't matter how it sounds. You don't have to say it a certain way. He's always listening. You can say whatever it is. And it might feel weird if you are not used to doing that, but I can speak to my experience. Talking to God and just having that relationship with him is one of the things that helped get me through what was the hardest period of my life. And I'm still, there's still things that are hard in my life, but it's getting better. It's definitely getting better. And my relationship with God's a huge part of that. Another huge part of that is just talking to people about it. Mental health is important. Like, look out. Like, it's important, guys. Focus on it. Choose healing. Choose the next right thing. And again, bring it to God. So I wanted to close this out just with a couple Bible verses that specifically speak to this. I'll just read them real quick. The first one has become one of my favorite verses in the entire Bible, and really help. I've put it in a lot of videos in my pinned comment, just because it's meant a lot to me in this time. And that verse I put in my video this morning is Psalm 34:18. Says, "The Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit." So I hope that can be comforting to anybody who is struggling right now. Helped me. And if you guys do need to talk, you guys can DM me. I'm always open to help you guys out. My Instagram DMs can be a little weird sometimes. Sometimes I'll get like a request and I can't actually see it. So hopefully it works out there. But again, always open there. And then the other one that I wanted to bring up was 1 Peter 5:10. And this just goes back to what I was saying. Is that the right one? I might have actually. Hold on, guys. I wrote these down beforehand, and I don't know if I picked. I think I might have actually chose the wrong one. Hold up. And again, guys, I'm not perfect with this. Like, I have not read the whole Bible yet. I'm not even close. I'm still reading through. Still working on it. Where is this? Sorry, guys. Oh, why did I say 10? It was 7. I was like right there. All right. My fault. 1 Peter 5:7 says, and again, this goes back to what I was saying earlier, cast all your anxiety on him because he cares for you. Again, just bring your struggle to him. Tell him whatever's on your mind. He wants to hear it. He wants to have that relationship with you. And, I think trusting in God, trusting that he has good plans for you, trusting that, his will be done, trusting that he is working all things out the way they're supposed to be. And just leaning on that is something that helps calm me when I get anxious. Because I'm a worrier. I get stressed out about the outcome of everything and what I got to do and all that stuff. But, if you just trust in God, trust in his plan, trust in his will, that becomes a lot lighter because you're not carrying it anymore. He's got it. So it's pretty much all I wanted to say, guys. Again, mental health is serious, and just wanted to talk about that a little bit at the end of this. But I appreciate all you guys for hanging out with me for an hour and 25 minutes now, talking mostly Eagles and then some serious stuff here at the end. But, okay, sorry, I don't know if it froze there. But yeah, again, just appreciate all you guys for hanging out with me. We'll be back again, hopefully next week, Wednesday night. That's the plan. I'll let you guys know if that changes. Probably going to get a video out tomorrow as well, so stay tuned for that. And yeah, appreciate all you guys for hanging out. Kayla, I got a couple comments. Renee says, one day at a time, Evan. Absolutely. That's what I've done. Kayla Ramirez says, also, let's give a shout out to Philly Fan 21 for making these great vids and live streams. They're helping us get through this and stuff, so we know what's going on. I really appreciate you. Flatline says, I need to follow you on IG. Didn't know you had an account there. Wasn't looking. No, it's good, dude. I don't really advertise it very much. I really just post like shorts and I guess stories now promoting these videos. So it's not my main platform, but I appreciate that. Christian, sorry, almost said Christina. Christian, to the people in the chat right now, I just want to say, never give up, never quit, because I don't want y'all to fall down. I want y'all to keep going and keep pushing, because one day you will beat it. Yeah, absolutely, bro. All right, appreciate all you guys. Have an awesome night. Get a good night's sleep. Stay tuned for a video tomorrow. Stay tuned for the live stream next week. And all that being said, go Birds. Appreciate all you guys for hanging out with me. And I'll see you in the next one. Peace.